Good evening, YouTube. You guys are now watching another segment of the TheCaliEffect, King of Games, and today we're going to be hitting you guys with another long video. We're going to be doing a complete set review on the Spirit Warrior set. Now, the Spirit Warrior set seems to be a replacement of our Hidden Arsenal set because it has 20 secret rares and 40 super rares, so that is a lot of cards, jam-packed, all hollow, so it's going to be pretty fun to see this. I'm assuming it's a 5-card set. You know, you get 5 cards per back, and you're going to get 1 secret rare and as well as 4 super rares like they normally do, like a normal Hidden Arsenal set. It also includes members for the 6 Samurai archetype, so expect to see 6 Samurai see a little bit more play as well as a boost, and it has Magical Musketeers and the Weather Painter. For the people that don't know what those are, they were called Magibullet and Weathery inside of the OCG, so it's going to be really interesting to dive into these archetypes. But before we get into it, I just want to say, when the Saints win, you guys win. So I'm going to be doing a certain type of special giveaway on my like page, so go ahead and hit that like page. We're going to be doing a very special giveaway to one lucky customer, or not customer, to one lucky viewer, because the Saints won this Sunday. You know, 7 games in a row. We got to do something real special. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about is, if you're liking what you're seeing, go ahead and destroy that subscribe button. I mean, Dark Hole, Raigeki, and Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, destroy it. But save a little bit some for the notification bell, because you guys are just too strong. Without further ado, I present to you a complete Spirit Warrior set review. That rhymed. Okay, I'm going to divide this this video into 3 different sections. We're going to start talking about the 6 Samurais, and then Magical Musketeer or Weather Painter next. And I felt that it would be easier for you guys to keep along with that. So starting off, we're going to be talking about the secret skills of the 6 Samurai. And what it does, it's a secret rare. It says, send one monster you control to the graveyard, then target one of your baddest 6 Samurai monsters. Special summoning. You can only activate secret skills of the 6 Samurai once per turn. This is one of those trapped secret rares that I want to talk about, mainly because we had a secret rare that was, we had a super rare 6 Samurai card that had similar effects. A special summon a 6 Samurai monster from the graveyard, but required you to send a monster from your field to the graveyard. And this card isn't that good as it does seem in first appearance. It being a quick play, it being able to tutor your 6 Samurai monsters to your side of the field, and that monster being able to attack in the battle phase. I just don't see this card holding a lot of value upright. Well, will it be a good card? Time only tells if neg ones will be good cards, but it doesn't seem like a terribly good card. I'd pick it up a little later once the card starts to drop the price, and once people realize that it isn't that great of a card. Next, we're going to be talking about the 6 Shinobi, another one of those cards that just aren't really good, but seems really good on surface. It reads, if you control 6 Samurai monsters with different attributes, skip your opponent's next turn. So the problem with this card is, not only do you have to control 6 Samurai monsters, one of the extra deck, 6 in the monster zone, they all have to be different attributes. Now, that isn't terribly hard, seeing that 6 Samurais have a variety of attributed monsters, but the fact that it's a trap card, and also the fact that if you have 6 Samurai monsters on your side of the field, you probably should be winning that game off the bat anyway. So I think that this card is a win more. It's not really useful. It's just not a great card. Next, we're going to be talking about Grandmaster of the 6 Samurai. It has received a super rare reprint inside of the set, and this is not where Konami is dicking us around, seeing that the highest rarity of this card is secret rare. So I applaud them for actually not ruining the secondary market by making this card secret rare when they definitely could have done. It was a card that was really good back in the day, but I don't necessarily see it right at this second how 6 Samurais used to work. It possibly can be very good if you guys are trying to go to Shinobi route, and I don't really see it as a completely terrible card. So be on the lookout for this card. It's basically a common card. All these super rare cards are going to be considered commons because there are going to be so many chances of you pulling this card. You should pull quite a few inside of your first box. So next is going to be Legendary 6 Samurai Kizan, and this is going to be a dick kick to the players with super rare Kizans from the original set. Reason why is because this card is damn near common in this set, which not only basically says the common versions of Kizans are basically worth nothing anymore because this card's easily more accessible and it's a super rare, it actually matches the rarity of the last Kizan. So I don't expect the OG Kizans to completely turn to what this legendary 6 Samurai Kizan price is, but I do expect them to dip drastically because a person wanting the highest rarity card can just get the super rare Kizan from this set as opposed to the other set. The next card we're going to be talking about is Legendary 6 Samurai Shiin, and it is a secret rare inside of the set. It actually looks really nice. Before, if I'm correct, I think the only prints that we have were Super, Ultra, and Ultimate. So a secret rare version of this card looks really good, and I think it's a pretty cool card effect. It's probably the best card in the set. Don't expect this card to be terribly expensive, but then on the same time, for people that don't want super rares, don't want ultra rares, but can't afford ultimate rares, will probably lean on the secret rare. So it's going to be a pretty decent card. I'm saying maybe around $5 in its price range. Another card is Shadow of the Six Samurai Xin, a card that was given to us as a super rare, and it looks like it's getting that exact same reprint. Now, this card isn't really going to be worth anything, even if it was a secret rare, because it's not a terribly great card. It's also a card that you probably, maybe, just maybe, would play one of inside of your Six Samurai deck. Six Samurai United is the biggest dick kick in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! Since Longfire Blossom, being reprinted as a super rare inside of the Fusion Enforcer set, because this card was a tournament packed super and held its value throughout its entirety of its time. I really cry for all of the people that have held on to their Six Samurai United, because now they're going to take a pretty big blow within the first upcoming weeks because of Super Six Samurai United. If they were secret rares, I think it would have been even worse, because obviously secret Six Samurai Uniteds are more rarity than the super rare versions. Ultimately, I do expect the Six Samurai Uniteds from the tournament pack to rise back in price with time, but right now I think that they're going to take a huge blow. So for people that want to get those tournament pack Six Samurai Uniteds, get them when this set comes out. They will be at an all-time low. Next, we're going to be talking about Gateway of Six Samurai, another card that got reprinted as a super. Unfortunately, Gateway, I believe, was sitting at a maximum of $10, so it's not really that much of a hit, but it's still a dick move for Kamani to do some stuff like that, or even to reprint this. Just, you know, I mean, it comes common. Let us vendors make money off of the original supers. Nonetheless, I feel like people will still probably go after the original pack supers before they come after this, because of the ease of access to this card, and then obviously they can say, I have high rarity cards. The next card is Xin Smoke Signal. This card was probably 30 cents in its prime. It's 30 cents before the reprint, so this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's starting to look really good that you can build the entire Six Samurai deck just by buying maybe 1 or 2 boxes of this set, and I kind of like that. Hand of the Six Samurai was a really good card for so many stupid loops involving Daiguster Emerald, but Daiguster Emerald is banned, so I really don't expect to see this card or have this card see play a lot. Possibly it could be a one-of inside of those techie builds. Kaigeki is a really good Six Samurai card. It's probably one of the best Six Samurai cards, being able to special summon or tutor a Six Samurai monster to your side of the field, and all you have to do is summon him, and he also becomes a 1700 attack monster while you control another Six Samurai. This was ran in 3s back when Legendary Six Samurai came out, and obviously it didn't exist when the original Six Samurais were out. Legendary Six Samurai Shanai is also going to receive a super rare print. This card, I'm just going to straight up tell you, it was trash back then, and it probably doesn't do anything great right now. I haven't yet seen these new Six Samurai cards, so we'll definitely be able to dictate if the older Six Samurai cards got a little bit of a boost from the new stuff. And then I assume the other Six Samurai, which is here, Mizo, the card that works with Shanai, this card was also another mediocre light card. And it wasn't even that bad, but the fact that it was only once per turn tribute, and, you know, the other guy, what was his name? I'm trying to remember his name. Not Kaigeki. Hand of the Six Samurai wasn't a once per turn. The hand can actually make you loot, but Mizo is actually a decent card for being able to special summon itself and tribute Six Samurai monsters, but they're not that great as a competitive perspective. Shin's Advisor has always been a terrible card because it's a Shin monster. It doesn't have Six Samurai in its name, and it doesn't really do anything. It has to be normal summoned while you control a Six Samurai monster, and then you have to declare a monster type. While it's face up on the field, monster types with declare type cannot declare an attack or be special summoned. Now, the special summon effect isn't bad, but when you look at the card, it's only 1200 attack, and a lot of days, it's just not that great of an attack. Asceticism of the Six Samurai is a well-deserved reprint. I personally feel that this card should have been secret. It's really good. The max rarity we have, Asceticism, was a rare, so getting it in super rare form, I think that it's probably still going to be a 3-of inside of the new Six Samurai deck. Xin Dojo was a card that was played when we had Gateway to Six Samurai 3 because it allowed us to loop with Daiguster Emerald. It's still a really good card. I really don't know where its place will be with the new Six Samurai monsters, but being able to place Bushido counters on it and special summon Six Samurai monsters is not that bad. It actually special summons Xin monsters too, so you could, does it have a max? Didn't it have a max at 2? No, it doesn't have a max of 2. What you could do is you can actually tutor the Shin's Advisor depending on how many times you can special summon Six Samurai monsters, so it might even see more play now than before. Next is Return of the Six Samurai, which got a super rare reprint and special summon 1 Six Samurai monster from your graveyard to your side of the field. Not too great. Back to the Wall is a card that received a common print, but allows you to summon a myriad of Six Samurai monsters to your side of the field. This could be used in conjunction with, where's that trap card? The 6 Shinobi. So it's not a terrible card, I guess, if you use it in conjunction, but it's also not a great card as well either. Next is Double-Edged Sword Technique, a card that has received a super rare reprint. Its max print is the Ultra Rare. All of these cards that we were talking about, they're probably going to be pennies on the dollar for the exception of the Great Shogun Shin. Next is Musakini Magatama, another Six Samurai card that received a rare print. It's a pretty decent card. Don't expect it to see anything exuberant in price. Secret Six Samurai Jinba, and this is where I'm going to start reading card effects. The other Six Samurai monsters are already printed, so we're going to start reading these, and it's going to be interesting to see what they have. It is a level 2 warrior tuner monster with an effect. It has 500 attack, so it's tunable through asceticism. Instantly, asceticism is automatically a 3 of. I still think that the Xin Dojo might be really good too. Its effect reads, when this card is a normal summon, you can target one of your banished Six Samurai monsters, add it to your hand. If exactly 1 Six Samurai monster you control and other cards will be destroyed by a card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. Its effects aren't terrible, but the fact that you want to save your normal summon for Kaigeki, at least on the top of my mind right now, it might not be that good. But Jinba is a level 2 warrior monster, so I think that it's a pretty good card. And when it's also sent to the graveyard, because it's a tuner and you can sync or something with it, it can also protect one of your Six Samurai monsters, so it's not a terrible card. Next is the Secret Six Samurai Hatsumi, and it is a level 3, 1600 attack, 1500 defense. This actually might be one of the money cards in the set, seeing that it is a new Six Samurai monster and it's a secret rare. Its effect reads, you can banish 2 Six Samurai monsters from your graveyard or face up on your field. Then you can target 1 Six Samurai monster in your graveyard, except her. Special summoning, you can only use the effect of Secret of the Six Samurai Hatsumi once per turn. Exactly 1 Six Samurai monster you control will be destroyed. You can banish this card from your graveyard instead. It seems like the newer Six Samurai monsters have the effect of protecting your Six Samurai monsters by banishing from the graveyard, where the other Six Samurai monsters had the ability to protect themselves by destroying another Six Samurai monster. So that's a pretty good thing. This card actually is really good. It seems to pair very well with Jinba, because this will tutor Six Samurai monsters that are banished, and then Jinba will tutor those banished monsters to your hand. So right now, at the top of my head, these Six Samurai monsters are looking pretty good, and I think that this might be the money card of the set because it's so versatile, and it's just a really good card. Next is Secret Six Samurai Doji. It's going to be really interesting. It's a 1700 monster attack, so it's easily accessible by asceticism. When it says, when another Six Samurai monster is normal summon or special summon, you can send 1 Six Samurai card from your deck to the graveyard. If exactly 1 Six Samurai monster you control will be destroyed, you can banish this card instead. This card isn't bad. I don't think it's bad at all. Being able to send Six Samurai monsters that need to be in the graveyard or have that graveyard effect or protection isn't that bad, but I don't see it as more than a one-of. It's just a really decent card. It's a secret rare, but I don't see this card being that terribly expensive. Secret Six Samurai Kazuru is a really interesting card. It has 1900 attack. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any good Six Samurai monsters with 1900 attack, so it doesn't seem accessible through asceticism. When this card is special summon, oh my god, this card's fucking good. You can add from your deck to your hand 1 Six Samurai monster with different attribute from every monster you control. If exactly 1 Six Samurai monster, you can banish it instead. This card's busted. This is the money card. Just when I thought the other monster was the money card, this is easily the money card. Off the top of my head, I cannot think of a way to special summon it, but I think that will change once I start reading the rest of these cards. I think it's 2 last cards. Next is Secret Six Samurai Rihan, and it must be special summoned from the extra deck by sending the above card you control to the graveyard. You do not use polymerization. Requires 3 Six Samurai monsters with different attributes. Cannot be used as fusion material. Once per turn, you can banish 1 Six Samurai monster from your hand or face up from the field. Turn 1 card on the field, banish it. The Six Samurai monster you control will be destroyed with battle card effect. You can banish this card from your graveyard and stack. This card's fucking dope. Another great Six Samurai monster. Only problem is it requires 3 Six Samurai monsters. You guys have to remember the extra monster zone is precious now, especially with decks not being able to spam out League monsters. This actually looks like a deck that can spam out League monsters because of the sheer ability, but being able to spam out a League monster and Six Samurai Rihan to your side of the field doesn't seem as easy. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible. This deck is known for being able to spam out monsters, but being able to put 5 monsters in the void on the board to invest back into 2 monsters, and one of them only being really for your archetype, it doesn't seem like something that Six Samurai players would do, but still they can drop a plethora of monsters, and this card just fits the bill for being able to clear your opponent's board. Another card that we're going to talk about is Secret of the Six Samurai Fuma. I think I've seen this card before. This is also another good money card. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special 1 Six Samurai monster from your deck. That's what we needed to see. This is exactly what we needed to see right here, because This monster, when special summoned from the deck to the side of the field, allows you to add. So yes, there is some potency between these new 6 Samurai monsters, and I'm pretty excited. The fact that it has to be destroyed by battle or card effect isn't that great, but it says if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect. It doesn't say your opponent's card effect. So you guys should be thinking what I'm thinking. There's Fire King Island for the budget players, and then there's Dragonic Diagram for the players that just want to swag it out and get cards from their deck to your hand. Now, it might constitute to a little bit of brick because now you have to play true Draco monsters, but they can be used by Dojo, by 6 Samurai United, and also by Gateway of the 6 Samurai to be used as tribute fodder for your monster. So you might start seeing a true Draco 6 Samurai deck coming out just because of this card, and it's a level 1 warrior. It's pretty much searchable. Except this card, if exactly one 6 Samurai monster, you guys should already know the rest. I believe that is it for the 6 Samurai monsters. I'm going to check a little bit just to make sure, and if that is it, we're going to start talking about the other monsters. Alright, now that we are done with 6 Samurai, we can start talking about Magical Musketeer. And a quick overview on this deck, it seems to be able to place monsters or gain effects when monsters and spell and trap cards are activated in a certain column. It also seems to have attack and defense alterations or attack alterations, which two strategies have never really been competitive. But Magical Musketeers look to buck that trend mainly because they can activate spell and trap cards or magical musket spell and trap cards from their hand during either player's turn. So starting off with Magical Musketeer Doc, he's a level 3, 1400 attack, 1200 defense fiend monster. And its first effect is during either player's turn, you can activate Magical Musket spell and trap cards from your hand. If a spell or trap card is activated in this card's column, you can add one Magical Musket card from your graveyard to your hand, but not a card with the same name as the activated card. You can only activate his effect once per turn. Now, he is a hard once per turn. Once you gain his effect, you can no longer gain its effect, or once you attempt to activate its effect, you can no longer attempt to activate its effect through the duration of his turn, but his effect is pretty decent. Being able to not only activate your Magical Musket cards, spell and trap cards from your hand to your side of the field, not only basically make Cosmic Cyclone mute, but also being able to recurse your Magical Musket cards from your graveyard to your hand is pretty good. I don't see it as a multiple card, as like a 3 of. I don't really think he's that important because it involves the graveyard, and cards like that tend to be like a 2 of, 1 of, because getting into the graveyard isn't as fast for most decks as it is for Lightsworn, because if it was Lightsworn, it probably would have been a different story. Next is Magical Musketeer Kid Brave, who I want to pause the video right now, or pause what we're going to be talking about, and just say that this guy reminds me of McCree from Overwatch, so I automatically like him. He is a level 3 fiend, and that seems to be the trend of Magical Musketeers, being light fiend monsters. 600 attack, 1200 defense. Obviously, during either player's turn, you can activate one Magical Musket spell and trap card from your hand. If a spell or trap card is activated in this card's column, you can discard one Magical Musket card. Draw 2 cards, and obviously his effect is a hard once per turn, so he is pretty good. And I like that so far the Magical Musketeer cards say if a spell and trap card is activated in their column. So it doesn't mean necessarily just your cards, it can mean your opponent's cards as well. So far this Magical Musketeer is looking to buck that trend, as I said before, to make columns good, because it dares your opponent to activate cards in their own column. But the only problem behind that is unless you have 5 monsters on the field that are Magical Musketeer with a similar effect to that, your opponent's just going to be able to play off of different columns. So columns are going to mean a little bit more than they ever meant before, but at the same time, unless your opponent has a clogged field, they can practically play around it. Next is going to be Magical Musketeer Starfire, a secret rare to the set, so it might be a pretty expensive card. It says during either player's turn, obviously the first effect, being able to activate Magical Musketeer cards. If a spell or trap card is activated in this card's column, you can special one level 4 Magical Musketeer monster or Magical Musket monster from your deck. Ooh, that's nasty. In defense position, you can obviously only gain her effect once per turn. She is a mandatory 3 of, in my opinion. You summon her, you activate a spell or trap card in your column, you special summon any Magical Musketeer monster from your deck, and then you activate that card in that column and then gain that monster's effect. I think she is possibly the money card, and the reason why I put her over these 6 Samurai money cards is because she is a new archetype. So people tend to go towards the newer archetypes before they go towards the older archetypes. So I really think she could be at her highest a $40 card, and at her lowest maybe a $15, $20 card, depending on how Magical Musketeers actually take to the meta. Next is Magical Musketeer Calamity. This is a level 4 monster with 1500 attack and 1300 defense. During the player's turn, when you activate a Magical Musket card, obviously, if this spell or trap card is activated in this column, you can target a Magical Musket card in your graveyard, special summon in the defense position. This is also another possibly 2 of 3 of monster because it tutors your Magical Musket monsters from your graveyard. Now, I know I said before that if you have cards that are going to tutor to your graveyard, you probably want to run a maximum of 2 of, but this card just might be too good to ignore, and it's easier to dump monsters in the graveyard than it is spells and traps. Next is Magical Musketeer Wild, is 1700, 900, so that's pretty decent attack. Their attacks don't seem to be too strong, but with all of them being light monsters, they're all honest targets. So obviously the first effect being able to activate. If a spell or trap card is activated in this card column, you can target 3 Magical Musketeer graveyards, shuffle all 3 on the deck, draw 1 card. Kind of mediocre. Again, another card relying on the graveyard. It feels like we have too many cards relying on the graveyard for Magical Musket right now, but there might be a way to send multiple Magical Musket monsters to the graveyard. I know Ties of the Brethren allows you to tutor them to your side of the field, so that's pretty good. I think that at max, he's probably a 1-of. He's not a terrible effect, but he's a pretty decent effect. Magical Musketeer Magical Musket Mastermind Zakiel. Now, he is a 2500 attack monster with, I believe, 7 or 8. He is a level 8 monster fiend, so he does completely buck the trend of Magical Musketeers being 3 and 4 low-level weaker monsters. And he also looks like he destroys all the other trends of Magical Muskets. You can tribute summon this card by tributing 1 Magical Musket monster. Okay, that's not bad. During the player's turn, you can activate Magical Musket spell trap cards from your hand. Okay, I didn't see that coming. Once per turn, during your opponent's end phase, you can draw cards equal to the number of Magical Musket spell and trap cards you activated this turn while this card is facing on the field. You can only use this effect once per turn. Now, I think he is a trap card. And what I mean by trap, I don't obviously mean that he's a purple trap card. I mean that he will start off at a ridiculously high price, but once players start to realize that he doesn't seem like a stronghold to the deck. Yes, he gives you a ton of advantage, and that is nice. But the fact that you have to tribute summon in a deck that doesn't seem predicated towards tribute summoning, he seems like a pretty cloggy card, and at best would probably ran at 1 or 2. Now, again, I could be wrong, but looking at him and looking at his design, I would probably run 0. But since the fact that he's the boss monster, the secret rare, and the cover card, he just might be a trap card. A trap card being that he might be an exorbitant amount of price, and that's not what he really is worth. So I'd probably stay away from this card unless Magical Muskets actually really need this card. But looking at it, I don't think that that's true. Next is our first look at this spell card. Is Magical Musket Steady Hands. Target 1 Magical Musket monster you control. Its defense and attack become double to its original defense and attack until the end of the turn. It cannot attack directly during the turn you activate this card. So that's pretty good. The best thing, or what this card has real value, is that not only is it searchable, it can be activated from the hand. So having at least 6 honest on your Magical Musket cards will probably be a pretty big problem, and I'm excited for the Magical Musket monsters. They look really nice. Magical Musket Cross Domination. If you control a Magical Musket monster, target 1 face-up monster on the field until the end of the turn, changes attack and defense to 0. Also, its effects are negated. This card is probably the best spell that we've had so far. The fact that it's a secret rare, it's definitely not a trap. This is a good card because you can activate it from the hand. You can change a monster's attack and defense to 0, but more importantly, you can negate its effects. That is the most value out of this card. This is easily a 3-of in the deck, and I think it's probably going to be a $20, $30 secret rare inside of the set. Magical Musket Desperado, our first look at the trap cards. If you control a Magical Musket monster, target 1 face-up card on the field, destroy it. Well then, that's pretty good, being able to activate cards from your hand to destroy. Magical Musket seems like a pretty good deck. I don't want to go ahead and label them meta because I don't like comparing OCG to TCG, but when a deck gets completely stomped in the OCG, even after having so many things going in its favor, I'm not really for it, but I'm very hyped about this Magical Musket. It looks like a deck that I really would want to do for how to play. Magical Musket Dancing Needle. If you control a Magical Musket monster, target 3 cards in your graveyard, banish them, or in the graveyard, banish them. This is probably the weakest Magical Musket spell trap card that I've seen up to date. Don't get me wrong, it looks like a pretty good anti-meta card for like Infernoid or against other decks, but it's not something that I would main board. It's just like a pretty decent card. It's also a trap card, and not in the essence that it's a trap card. It might be worth a lot in the beginning, but it's not going to be worth anything in the future. Magical Musket Fiendish Deal. Magical Musket monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. Well, that kind of makes Magical Muskets almost impossible to get over. If this card is in your possession and sent to your graveyard by an opponent's card effect, add one magical musket card from your deck to your hand. Fuck, that's pretty good. Not only does it kind of force your opponent to battle your magical musket monsters, it makes them, I mean, it searches when your opponent finally gets over it. Wow. Wow, that's pretty good. I mean, that card's just pretty good. I think that this card, it doesn't seem like a 3 of. I'd probably play 2 of because of its ease of access, its searchability, but it's a really good card. Magical Musket Last Stand. The counter. Oh, the main thing, you can activate it from your hand and it stays on the field, so that's fucking good. When your opponent activates a spell or trap card while you control a magical musket monster, negate the activation if you do destroy that card. Huh. So they have their own Infernity Barrier. I think that this deck is meta. I don't think that this card itself is a 3 of as well, but I think it's a pretty good card just like the other one. This might just be a $20 secret rare, and I'm probably going to buy this box. This box looks, the magical musket monsters look really promising, and they possibly could turn some heads. They look like a really solid deck. Light Fiend monsters, if you have the right player with the right balance, I think that they can do some sort of damage. So pretty interesting looking at the magical musket monsters. I'm pretty excited. I'm stoked. I actually want to build the deck, and that's going to constitute me in trying to get boxes, which I have a hard time getting already. So now that we're done with the magical musket monsters, let's talk about the weather monsters. Okay, so the last archetype we're going to be talking about is the weather, also known as Weathery in the OCG. And this archetype, I have no, idea what they do. And these pictures actually look like somebody legitimately just poked an eye lens through a potato and then just took pictures. Like, God, can you get a better camera? You can't even, there's no excuse to be in 2017 and have a camera like this. But we're going to start off with the Weather Painter Snow. I'm going to try to decipher its text. When this card is normal summon, you can place one the Weather Spell or Trap card from your deck face up in your spell and trap card zone. That seems to be the theme when I looked over them or glanced over them. You can only use this effect once per turn of his effect. Once per turn during your standby phase after this card was banished from the field. Let me just go down and read it. Yeah, after this card was banished from the field to activate a weather card's effect, you can special summon this banished card. All right. So I got that right. That's pretty good. And in looking over the weather monsters when I pulled them out, they seem to be taking up most of the secret rare slots. So I'm going to say just in a business perspective. Okay, so there are 3 archetypes. One of them is going to be old school, so I'm going to make one, those less secret rares. Everybody's going to get those. Nobody really, old school players are going to get it just because it's old school. It doesn't matter. One of them's new school and is possibly the best deck. So we're going to reserve those secret rares for the best spots. We're not going to make them all secret rare because then you'll just pull all the cards in secret rares. But we're going to reserve them, the best ones, for the best spots. The last one is an archetype that I don't feel strongly enough is good. I think it's not a terrible archetype, but it's just not a good archetype. So let's just make them all secret rares and force the players to have to buy multiple sets to get Magical Musketeers or the Magical Musketeer, the card that they need. I don't know, that could be it, but that seems to be the theme for Konami and box printing. And I'm not saying that this card's bad. It seems really reliant on how good the weather spell and trap cards are. Next is the Weather Painter Rain. If this card is special summoned, place one weather spell or trap card from your hand face up in your spell and trap card zone. Okay, you can only use this effect once per turn. Once per turn, do you standby phase if this card, or after this card was banished from the field to activate a weather card effect special summon. So it looks like the weather monsters activate or place weather spell or trap cards from the hand, and the other one was from deck. Yeah, the hand, deck. I'm assuming the next one's going to be graveyard to your side of the field. So this deck is heavily reliant on the weather spell and trap cards, and I promise you the weather spell and trap cards are going to have something to do with banishing. I mean, it just seems like it fits. The Weather Painter Sun. Okay. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can send one face-up continuous spell or trap card you control to the graveyard, special summon this card from the defense position. And if you do, place one weather spell or trap card from your hand face up in your spell and trap cards. You can only use this effect once per turn. Once per turn, you can step by face. After this card was banished, you can special summon himself. Again, I'm not sold on the weather archetype because I'm waiting for those spell and trap cards to bust these monsters, because on these own, these monsters don't seem that great. The Weather Painter Thunder. You can send one face-up continuous spell or trap card you control to the graveyard. Place one weather spell or trap card from your deck face up to your side of the field in your spell and trap cards. Pretty good. All right. You can only use the effect of the Weather Painter once per turn. Once per turn during a semi-phase, obviously after it was banished plus summoning. So I'm not necessarily seeing something really good. I think Thunder is a really good card. I think that the other one is an okay card, but this one seems like a 3-up. This one might be the $15, $10, $20 card for Weathery. It seemed pretty decent, but like I said, it's really reliant on these spell and trap cards, so I'm excited to see it. This card, I actually copied and pasted. It is the Weather Painter Aura. When this card is normal summon, you can place one Weather spell and trap card from your hand, deck, or graveyard face up in your spell and trap card zone. Fuck, it's a 6. God damn it, this is easily the best card again. Your opponent cannot target the Weather spell and trap card. You control the card effects. Bruh, that's good. Once per turn during the standby phase, after this card was banished from the field to activate a Weather card effect, you can spell summon this banished card. Okay, I like this card. I like this card a lot. I wish it said when it was normal summon and special summon, it would be a really good boss monster, but so far this is probably the best boss monster between the two decks. And for the people that, I think you guys haven't noticed yet, but both the Weather and the Musketeer archetype seem to be dependent on their spell and trap cards. I wonder if that is their ongoing dual terminal, because this is practically a dual terminal set. Is that a theme going on? Are they meant to combat each other? Did they have some type of combat? Or were they allies once and they gained each other's effects? The Weathery Snowy Canvas, our first look at a spell card that is Weather. The Weather effect monsters in your main monster zone in this card's column and its adjacent columns gain this effect. Oh, well, shit, fuck. That's kind of good. Put it in the middle. You can banish this card, quick effect, target one Weather card from your deck. Oh, I'm sorry. You can banish this card. I'm assuming they can banish themselves. That's good. They finally have a way to banish and replenish themselves. Add one Weather card from your deck to your hand. Also, you cannot add cards from your deck to your hand except for the rest of the turn except by drawing them. Ah, shit, it's only a once per turn. I think that this card had a potential to break the Weather archetype just on its own. Because being able to banish your Weather monsters, which replenish themselves, and search the Weather cards from your deck to your hand is fucking dope. But it's only once per turn. You can only control one Snowy Canvas. Wait, hold on. Hold on. Oh, you cannot add cards. I thought it was only once per turn. So, it had a potential to really out-resource your opponent if you had like multiple Weather monsters. Banish them all, search, they all come back. Pretty much out-resource. The Weather Rainy Canvas. The Weather effect monsters in your main monster zones in this card columns and adjacent gain these effects. That's what seems to be the theme of the Weather spell cards. You can banish this card, target one spell and trap card your opponent controls, return it to the hand. Huh, that's pretty mediocre. At least it's multiple times. So the reason why I say it's pretty mediocre is because it doesn't, I mean, don't get me wrong, back row movement was great, but right now it seems like Magical Musketeers doesn't care about back row spirals, which you're going to return their resort and they're just going to activate it again. Pendulums, they'll reset scales, so it only seems really good against trap-based decks, so it might be the end of Paleo, but that's really about it. And then you have to have multiple Weathery monsters that you have to banish, which leaves you wide open for a direct attack. I'm not a big fan of this card. The Weather Cloudy Canvas. Weather monster effects obviously gain this effect in the ones adjacent to this card's columns. You can banish this card, target one face-up monster on the field, except during the damage step. Have its current attack for the rest of the turn, but it cannot attack directly. What? Oh, but it can attack directly. Another mediocre card. This Weather archetype seems to crash and burn right outside of the first card, and I can't get behind this card. I just don't even think it's good. But maybe that's just me. Maybe Weathery have something up their sleeves. The Weather Sunny Canvas. All right. Obviously, gain the adjacent effects. They're all the quick effects. You can banish this card. Target one monster you control. Tribute that target. And if you do, special summon one Weather monster from your hand or graveyard. But not with the same. No! It's that special summon. If I remember correctly, Weather monsters only gain their effect when they're normal summoned. Oh, I guess Painter gains its effect. But Painter, it has to be from hand, which you could have activated anyways. No, so yeah, this archetype doesn't seem real good right now. All right, this one's secret rare, so and it's a trap card. Might be a good turn of tides. Obviously, the same weather monster for spell and trap cards I've been saying, or for spell cards I've been saying. At the start of damage step, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can banish this card, return that monster to the hand. It's not bad. I guess that's pretty decent. But the Weather Archetype doesn't seem to have that push card. The card to just either get them some outright generous amount of advantage, or, you know, just get them, you know, a lot of cards. Maybe the Link monster would be really good. I didn't see the Link monster in here, but I'm pretty sure it's confirmed for the set. The Weather Oral Canvas. The weather monster effects in your main monster code, blah, 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 gain the adjacent effects. I actually have to scroll down because, again, who the fuck, who's this, whose mans is this? When exactly one card is added to the player's hand, except during damage step, you can banish this card, banish the added card. And if you do that, player's, god damn it, really? Really? Why do I have to draw a card? But I guess it's good for comboing off your own weather effects. This card is actually pretty decent because you can banish your weather monsters from your hand. Hopefully they can be banished in special summon if they're banished from the hand. If this card is banished from the field, god damn it! What the hell, man? If this card is banished from the field, all right, card mediocre. Mediocre. I mean, I guess it's good because if your opponent's searching cards, you can see what they search and you can banish it. But I don't like the fact that they get to draw a card because it literally just took away all of the advantage that you just gave into a card. You sunk in having a face-up trap card on the field, banishing your own monster, so losing monster credits to banish a card from your opponent's hand, and then they draw a card. So I'm just, a lot of decks will find ways if you give them cards. That's why cards like Dark Bribe aren't good, because you give them cards and they'll find ways to beat them. That's what consistent decks do, and this card had so much potential. So much potential. I think that's it for the weather monsters. Or I'm really confused where the Link monster is, but I don't think I have that card up right now. So if you guys want to see that card, go to my like page and I will have that card right for you guys as soon as it gets a TCG reprint, or not a TCG, as soon as it gets a confirmation. We'll go ahead and have that up for you guys. Let's get into the side cards.